Welcome to this training video where I'm actually going to break down the exact formula I use to keep my productivity high, to run two companies, to have a seven-figure practice with over 15 full-time team members. And I would like to sound slightly unreasonable if that's okay, but I would say that I'm very happy as well, because we often miss this element, don't we? Sometimes we can make a lot of money but not be fulfilled. Sometimes we can be very happy but actually feel stressed about not having enough finances or not having enough new patients or whatever the misbalances in that formula. And I would like to teach you this framework that I completely stole from one of Steve Jobs' CEOs at the time, and I strongly believe this can be replicated. So stay until the end, and I'm going to share with you this signal to noise productivity framework that I use in my office every single day. So what is the problem? What is the problem if you are a clinic owner? The problem is this. You've transitioned from this here, let's say, chiropractor who is amazing at doing what they do, to then going into running a business, running a practice. Those two have a huge disproportionate amount of tasks, types of tasks, and time management that you physically cannot run a successful practice the way you run a successful diary as an associate. So it's just not how the world works, which means two things. It means you would either be a practitioner who struggles, or you will have to close the business. And I actually see this a lot in the UK space, where I work with private clinics and we try to help them understand systems, procedures, processes, building teams, accountability, measuring KPIs, while staying happy, whilst improving the business structure, so that they have freedom, so that they're not stuck in the hamster wheel, so that they feel like they actually have a forward motion of I'm progressing the way I want to be, whilst having a massive impact on patients. And this is what I notice. So if I was to say, in a typical day, you have this 100%, call it battery. We run on energy, right? I'm not going to go too scientific here, but let's say we run on energy. You cannot produce energy out of thin air. So the question you have to ask yourself is, if noise, we'll call this noise, are things that drain my energy and are things that are not productive to the team, to the company, or to the patients, versus signal. This is what Steve Jobs was very good at, he was focusing on what are these things, one thing that critical things that need to happen today for me to be able to move the needle forward, or not necessarily for me, but for the right people that I can delegate to. So the balance between noise and signal is where the top 1% of clinic owners in the UK and in the world are sitting at. They understand this principle that if I'm able to recognize what's the signal, and more importantly, say no to the noise and protect my time, I'm going to win, because I only have 100% energy in my battery every single day. And you can borrow energy from tomorrow, and we're going to teach this in my in-person mastermind coming up in, I hope, November this year, 2025, depending on when you watch this video. It's going to be insane. We're going to completely transform people's businesses, and my mastermind group will be invited, and we're going to go deep onto planning for 2026 and strategy and all this cool stuff. But this framework is absolutely essential for you to understand. And this is what I do. First, we have to understand the bigger picture. So I would probably start with, what is your North Star? The North Star is, what is the thing that I am working towards? It's very difficult to wake up every day and build things and train people and see patients and all of the another 10,000 things you have to do as a business owner. But if you understand that your North Star is your guiding principle in life and in business, it's actually much easier to make decisions, because if you don't know where you're going, you will end up just being very proactive each day. So let's say your North Star currently currently with this consulting business, my North Star is to take 100 clinics to do 1 million a year. I know that this will change many, 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 many more lives because of the ripple effect. And I want to coach these clinics to take them to 83.33K a month because we know how to do that and we've replicated it in many clinics and in my own practice. And that means that for me, waking up every morning and writing content and doing sales and doing marketing and coaching and delivering the product and improving the product and hiring people to be ops managers and marketing managers, all that stuff, it's so much easier because I know what my goal is and I know what my vision is and what my mission is. So start from your North Star. If you don't know what your North Star is, there are many tools and exercises online to figure it out. But ultimately, it takes a pen and paper for you to say, what do I want from life? And based on that, you reverse engineer it. The second thing I'll do, and I'm happy to share this tool with you, by the way, is I call it my noise to signal ratio tool. And it's a very simple tool that maps out the whole year. So think of it as like a calendar, and it has the date for that day and that month. And it has literally per day, let's say today's the 4th of July, 2025, and I'll write down 1, 2, 3 things. Literally the most critical things that have to happen, which is my signal. That's my signal. My signal are things that, the signal is the things that move the needle forward. And let's just write some of these down. So what are some of the things that move your business forward? But the most critical things. For me today, I had to do an interview with someone, really high priority task. I had to launch an email sequence, super important because that basically can generate, we've already generated, I think, 4 to 6 new patients on this new service that we've launched. And I'm going to do a team reflection loom, which is where I tell my team what happened that week, what went well, what didn't go well, what do we suggest to improve, what are the roadblocks that stops us from achieving the goals, and what are the things that we need to achieve for next week. And I try to individualize and personalize it because I understand a business is just a collection of people that aim towards the same goal. So you better invest in your team. You better go the extra mile to make sure that everyone in your team is optimized to be just the best version of themselves. Not for you, but for them and for the patients. So these are the 3 things I would write down yesterday that I wanted to do for today. This is my noise to signal ratio. Now, I promise you that within this interview thing, there was another 10 things that had to happen, but that's where you delegate to the practice manager. That's where you, launching of the email sequence. That's where I literally wrote the copy. I had a meeting with my marketing manager and they were going to make them look pretty. They're going to automate them. They're going to link them to MailChimp. They're going to have the SMS reminders as well. We're going to have the sequence of the second and third email. But there are tasks that absolutely cannot be delegated because they're the highest leverage tasks in your business. So where mentorship comes in, people say to me, okay, your program sounds freaking amazing, but why do you charge so much money? Well, it's because I can reduce the noise to signal ratio. I tell people half the time what not to do so they can focus on the things that they have to do, and I keep them accountable. And I do this myself in my personal life, the coach that I have, and the coaching that we provide for many clinics out there. The noise is actually the more difficult thing. It's not knowing what you don't know. Therefore, how do I know what to do or not to do? And the easiest thing to do is to come and observe us. You know, we have these open days where I invite clients of ours to come and see us. Like, bring a piece of paper with you that typically turns into a whole booklet and just write things, observe. Like, why did the CA say this? Why did the practice manager take someone to the finance office to discuss the direct debits? Why did the chiropractor use this poster instead of that poster? Why do you guys have the meetings on Friday, not the Monday? All of these things are so well structured in an organization like ours because it's physically impossible. It's physically not possible to scale unless you have the right recipe. And I believe we have the right recipe to absolutely be the top 0.1% clinic in the UK. And now our mission is to teach clinics how to become the 1% clinic in the UK and hopefully in the world. So noise to signal ratio is one of the most critical skills that you can develop. It can be broken down to the North Star, which is your guiding principle. The second thing is to figure out, what am I doing these 12 months? Again, I have tools for that if you want to use them, borrow them. Because when you break things down to the point where they are monthly and then daily, I can almost guarantee you that there is no way that you can fail, because our brain absolutely, this is a smiley face by the way, the brain absolutely loves working in understanding the bigger picture, but being able to micromanage little tasks without feeling stressed because they feel they're achievable. So if you want to borrow my tool, I'm sure we'll pop it somewhere in the description below. This was a short video to say, guys, if an idiot like me can build a 7-figure practice, can run a consulting business and achieving great results for clients, then imagine what you can do when you have the right frameworks. These things that we talk about in these videos, they're called mental models. And a mental model is a way of thinking. I want to teach people how to think for themselves rather than just giving them the framework for how to get another 30 new patients. Believe it or not, that's the easy part. Think of it as like, I'm trying to get a patient to understand their health and take action themselves and look after themselves outside my office rather than just fixing their spinal and neuromusculoskeletal problems. The impact that you're going to have on that patient when you educate them about health and well-being, preventative care, ongoing maintenance, versus, oh, just come and see me when it's bad, and then you have no change in their behavior, is, in my opinion, almost pointless. That's just me. But also, the same goes for business, same goes for life. You have to understand how to think, and if I can teach people the skills of thinking called mental frameworks, mental models, then I'm winning because you guys are winning too. So, without feeling shameful, I'm going to say, if you are stuck and you don't know where to take your practice to the next level, don't be shy. Reach out. It doesn't have to be with me. People like me love helping other people. And yes, we have to charge for it because for me, that's the biggest reflection of value. Therefore, I know that people will do the work because they're kept accountable and they understand the value of the things that we teach and we provide. And if not, continue watching these videos, start to understand a little bit more about how these top clinics think, how they act, and just model it, just replicate it. It's not as easy when it's not as personal. This is kind of what we do, the one-on-ones and the group coaching. But at the same time, it depends. If you're only doing 10, 15, 20K a month, you can easily double that business from just watching these videos. But if you want to get to the 50, 60, 70, 100K a month mark, and you want to build a business that is true business that does not necessarily depend on you, then I'll be more than happy to talk. Cool, guys. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching. And if you want to have any questions, I actually reply to every single comment in these videos, so don't be afraid to reach out. Bye-bye.